What are you flying your drone here for today, just to ask, please?
Here?
Railway station, isn't it? It's railway land, mate. What are you flying your drone for here today?
I'm doing a little flight over the yard and the station today.
Okay, what's the weight of your drone? Do you have a license? Do you have it registered?
Is there a reason you're asking me?
Because it's got... I'm not arresting you.
No.
I mean, if you want, I can check your details, and then we can see if you've got the correct license. Then if you haven't, potentially, we can go down that route of any offences that have been committed, or we can just leave it as words of advice. You cease your drone flight above the station. Launch from not private property.
So where would you class as not private?
This is all Great Wranglers, one of Network Rail's property.
Owned, but if it has access.
There is
Unrestricted access.
However, I'm explaining to you, if your drone doesn't meet the other requirements as well.
So if I was to be reasonable and if I go and stand over, I don't know, on that pavement there, let's say, or...
all Great Wrangler, my man.
I'm saying if it has access.
So the railway is governed by additional laws, okay? So there are 26 railway bylaws, but there are also, like say, extra laws regarding the use of drones, okay? I've just asked you about whether or not you're registered, you've got the licence and everything, which you haven't.
I haven't really answered. You didn't really give me a chance to answer. You said I presume you haven't.
Have you?
But,
have you?
Well,
We're just this is just a chat. I'm not trying to trip you up. This is just a chat. Have you got those licenses?
If I go, okay, where would you like me to stand in your eyes?
In my eyes?
Yes.
Off the railway. So you see the car's just turned out there. There's a fence there. You're off the railway. That's fine.
You don't care about the drone going over?
So are you going to fly it over the railway? Because are you aware of the dangers of overhead cables? Do you know all about that? How far they can arc?
I mean, I haven't even looked that way yet.
Yeah, cool.
If I look that way, I'll tell you where I'll go.
Just chatting with you.
Today, we're breaking down an electrifying encounter between the auditor DJE Media and the BTP outside Norwich Station. An officer, armed with a string of confident assertions, tries to shut him down. But is he firing legal fact or just blanks? Stick around, because we are about to untangle a web of misinformation and reveal the one crucial detail that changes everything. The scene is set. DJE Media has his drone on the ground, in his own words, to see where the BTP know the score. As soon as it lifts off, an officer is straight over. And he doesn't come with questions, he comes with declarations.
Sorry?
Are you working for Great Wrangler?
Me? No.
No, because you are taking off on private property, which is theirs, obviously. What are you flying your...
Welcome back, everyone. Today we've got an electrifying clash at Norwich Station between a determined auditor, DJ Media, and the British Transport Police. Now, this isn't just any casual stop and chat. From the very first words, the officer is on the offensive, demanding licenses, questioning legality, and throwing around terminology that sounds official but doesn't quite line up with the actual law. On one side, we've got DJ Media, calm, measured, and confident in his knowledge of aviation regulations. On the other, an officer who is certain he's in the right, armed with railway bylaws and assumptions. The stakes. Whether a simple drone flight is harmless fun or a supposed security threat. But here's the kicker. One tiny piece of information about the drone will flip this entire encounter on its head. Stick around, because we're about to see how quickly confidence can crumble when the facts can...
Drone here for today, just to ask, please.
Here?
Railway station, isn't it? It's railway land, mate. What are you flying your drone for here today?
I'm doing a little flight over the yard and the station today.
Okay, what's the weight of your drone? Do you have a license? Do you have it registered?
Is there a reason you're asking me?
Because it's got... No, I'm not arresting you.
No.
It's got a recording device.
There's a reason you're asking me, sorry.
Whoa, let's freeze it right there. This opening salvo is a legal minefield. The officer unleashes a barrage of assumptions and legally muddled statements. Let's break them down, one by one. The officer asks, do you have a license? This is the first red flag. In the UK, there is no such thing as a drone license for recreational or most commercial flyers. What the Civil Aviation Authority, CAA, requires is an operator ID, which you get by registering online. The person flying the drone also needs a flyer ID, obtained by passing a simple online theory test. The officer is using incorrect terminology, which immediately suggests his knowledge might be shaky. Legal point 2, the presumption of guilt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because there are laws regarding drone flight, aren't there? So it has a certain weight. If it's recording in public, you should be registered and get a, which I'm going to assume by the way you're reacting, it's probably not. So I'm going to ask you to cease your drone flight from this location, if you could, please.
For the reason?
The reasons I've just explained. If I don't believe you have a correct licence. I mean, if you want, I can check your details, and then we can see if you've got the correct licence. Then if you haven't, potentially, we can go down that route of any offences that have been committed. Or we can just leave it as words of advice. You cease your drone flight above the station. Launched from not private property.
This is the most telling moment. I'm going to assume by the way you're reacting, it's probably not. This is a classic case of poor policing. An officer's job is to investigate impartially, not to make negative assumptions based on a person's reaction.
I'm arresting you, slip. Did you catch that? The officer jumps from asking routine questions straight into the language of detention, simply because the drone has a camera attached. Here's the problem. Almost every drone has a recording device, but that doesn't automatically make it illegal. This sudden leap in tone reveals just how shaky his foundation is. Rather than patiently assessing the situation, the officer escalates with threats that don't align with actual law. It's a classic intimidation tactic, and notice how DJ Media doesn't bite. He stays calm, letting the officer over.
DJE Media is calm and hasn't had a chance to speak. This statement shows a predetermined bias and sets a confrontational tone, shifting the burden of proof onto the citizen when it should be on the officer to establish an offence. The officer then doubles down, claiming the drone needs to be licensed as well. Again, this is false. The operator ID number must be displayed on the drone, but the drone itself doesn't have a separate license like a car. He's conflating the operator with the machine. The officer's next tactic is to lean on the location. He correctly identifies that they are on private railway property.
Where would you class as not private property?
So the
because
railway, obviously you have to have the express written permission of Greater Anglia. It's theirs. They don't want you here flying drones. It will cause a security risk. I appreciate you want to fly it over, and it's probably all harmless. That's why I'm just chatting to you, okay?
Right.
All right, so...
I'm not from round here, but
So
down there...
The railway basically ends. You see where the cars are?
Yep.
Down the end there. That's the edge of the railway. Take off from there, fly up. But obviously it might still cause a security issue. The main thing is as well, just from wherever you're taking off the man. So you have to, if it's recording in public, you do have to register with the Civil Air Authority. So you should do that every year. The drone should be licensed as well. It should have that all printed on it. There are a lot of rules around drone flight and recording, for your awareness. Okay.
Just one thing. I've literally came out of there. I haven't been down there yet, but
it's fine.
It looks to me like there are other things on, like a shop there. Not sure what that building is there.
That's all railway. This is all owned by the railway.
Now, this is where things get genuinely complex. He's not entirely wrong, but he's not entirely right either. Yes, the land is owned by Network Rail and operated by Greater Anglia. However, the area DJE is in appears to have unrestricted public access. People are walking through without being challenged. This creates a legal grey area. While a landowner can revoke your implied permission to be there and ask you to leave, simply being there isn't automatically an offence. The officer is correct that railways are subject to specific bylaws. These bylaws do give the BTP powers beyond those of regular police on a public street. For instance, they can remove people who are not travelling or who are causing a nuisance. However, the officer doesn't cite a specific bylaw that DJ is breaking.
Point. The officer is throwing around terms like license and registered drone. But here's the key. In the UK, there's no such thing as a blanket drone license. Instead, pilots need an operator ID and often a flyer ID, depending on the weight of the drone. By using vague or incorrect terms, the officer creates an impression of authority that sounds convincing to the untrained ear. But in reality, it shows he's not fully equipped with the facts. This is where knowledge is power, because if DJ Media didn't know better, he might have been bullied.
Simply flying a drone isn't listed as a prohibited activity in the standard bylaws. He's using the existence of the bylaws as a vague threat without pointing to an actual offence. The entire encounter is a stalemate. The officer is convinced he's right, and DJE is patiently waiting, knowing he holds a trump card. The second, quieter officer makes a call to their disruption team. This is the turning point. After a few minutes, he returns with a completely different story.
Over the building.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
So are you doing this for fun, or is this your profession?
I've not been to Norwich before.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I thought I'd have a look at the railway before I crack on and go elsewhere.
So, because if it's monetised content as well, there are insurance requirements around the drone. Again, this is just to let you know, okay?
I don't think, does monetisation class as commercial?
You can always pop in there and speak to the station.
Yeah, because if you say to them, and then you say, oh, you're right, and we just doing that, they'll probably say...
Try and ask them, or?
Are you happy
I can stand here then.
Are you happy to ask them? Oh, your drone is up at the moment.
I can bring it down in a second.
Yeah, you're all right.
I can bring it down for a minute.
Yeah, you're all right, mate. Because, if you go tell them, I just want to do this and explain what you want to do, and they go, then...
Can't you ask them? You've got more authority than me.
No. Well, I can't make them. It's up to them.
See, I always thought, taking off from private land, I get what you're saying, but if it's unrestricted access.
I get what you're saying. But
There's a way out there, right? Is that a way out? Is that to the town or something? So people can walk straight through?
The railway has extra laws regarding it though. Like, so if they say, I don't want you here, literally just because you're not travelling, they can ask you to go and things like that.
But they haven't asked me yet. Right?
Well, as a police officer and agent of the railway, I could ask you as well. Yeah, get your drone down. Let's get right. So, literally, pop in and ask them, and if they're happy with you flying it up and above.
The officer's language, I'm going to assume. That single phrase gives the game away. Police work is supposed to be based on evidence, not assumptions. Instead of verifying the facts, the officer presumes guilt and places the burden on DJ Media to prove innocence. This flips the legal standard completely upside down. And here's the deeper issue. When officers rely on assumption instead of law, it doesn't just create tension, it erodes public trust. The best auditors know how to expose this dynamic without shouting or resisting. By staying calm, DJ Media highlights exactly where the officer...
I'll just make a note of it, because then what will happen is they won't create a security incident when they think there's a drone scouting things out.
Similar questions that...
And there it is, the silver bullet. The 249 grams, this single piece of information dismantles almost every point the first officer made. Under CAA regulations, drones that weigh less than 250 grams fall into the A1 open category. This is the least restrictive category. Why does it matter so much? No flyer ID required. You don't technically need to pass the theory test to fly a sub 250G drone, though it's highly recommended. Flying near people. You are permitted to fly over people as long as it's not a large crowd. Fewer restrictions. Many of the stricter rules about separation distances from buildings and people simply don't apply. The officer's entire argument was built on the assumption that DJE was flying a heavier, more restricted drone. The moment the 249G weight is confirmed, his case collapses. The disruption team, who actually know the regulations, have corrected him. The private land issue becomes moot because he's not causing a disturbance and the drone's weight class allows for flight in that area. What happens next is remarkable. The first officer, to his credit, completely changes his tune. This is a masterclass from both sides. The officer, once corrected by his own team, backtracks and apologizes for his initial assumption. DJE Media, for his part, remained calm and professional throughout, allowing the facts to speak for themselves rather than getting into a heated argument. He knew the law, and he knew his drone's classification was his
one of those gray areas where both sides have a point. Yes, Network Rail owns the property. Yes, bylaws exist that give the police additional powers. But the space looks like it's open to the public. People are walking through freely. That means DJ Media isn't trespassing in the traditional sense. The officer is right to flag security concerns, but notice he never cites a specific bylaw being broken. Instead, he leans on the idea of bylaws as a scare tactic. This subtle distinction, law versus vague authority, is what separates genuine legal enforcement from...
That taking off from private land was obviously not unlawful, but it's a no-go really, you're not meant to do it. Here, I can understand if I'm right outside the station, like I am now, I would class that as probably within the station, what do you call it, boundary, or, I don't know. Over there, you can go straight through, and over there you can come in. So people could potentially walk in on their bike or something and go straight through, right?
Yeah.
So it's unrestricted access to the public. Are there any laws or bylaws or rules stating that you can't stop unless you're travelling, kind of thing, for example? I don't know, maybe there are.
There's a lot of roads, 26 railway bylaws, which do include things like that.
Oh right, well there you go.
Go, call it.
So my thinking was, if I was to go on the pavement over there, I'm using the unrestricted public access to stop for a bit and do a bit of photography, and then I'm going to crack on. So I would have thought, if I go over there, it's reasonable. Here, I get it. I get it here.
I don't think anything you're doing is unreasonable. We just have a duty to come and speak to you about it.
Yeah.
The encounter ends with the officers leaving him to it, even chatting amicably about the drone's impressive camera and
the knockout punch. The drone weighs just 249 grams, 1 gram under the threshold that triggers most of the stricter rules. Suddenly, all the officers talk about registration, licensing, and flight restrictions falls apart. That's why seasoned drone operators often choose sub-250G models. The law treats them differently. It's not a loophole, it's a deliberate category created by the Civil Aviation Authority to allow low-risk flying. The officer's confident stance crumbles the moment his assumption is exposed. It's a perfect demonstration of why fact
return from the initial confrontational approach. So what are the key takeaways from this incredible encounter? Know your equipment. The weight of your drone is the single most important factor determining what you can and can't do. 249G is the magic number. Closing out the show, we spoke to Diego about Hermes, who has casually challenged his incorrect legal assertions. He let the officer talk himself into a corner. The law versus policy. The police still advised him not to fly directly over the tracks, citing the 25,000 volt cables. This is excellent safety advice, but it's not the same as a legal prohibition. It's crucial to know the difference. Presumption is not proof. An officer's assumption is not evidence of an offence. You are not required to prove your innocence. They are required to establish that you have broken a specific law. This video is a perfect example of why knowledge is your ultimate power. DJE Media tested the system, found it wanting, and through calm persistence and a deep understanding of the rules, was able to educate the officers and continue his flight. That's it for today's breakdown. If you want to see more legal deep dives, hit the
has softened completely. The aggression is gone, replaced with a conversational tone. Instead of commanding, he's now suggesting. Instead of threatening arrest, he's explaining bylaws more carefully. This shift shows the power of knowledge in action. When an auditor demonstrates calm persistence, it forces the conversation away from authority posturing and toward actual fact. The police don't leave in defeat, they leave having learned something. And that's the difference between confrontation and resolution.